was born in 1933, and when the Americans arrived here in Northern Ireland, I was 10 years old. That was 1943, and to the best of my memory, they arrived sometime, well, certainly between June and December of 1943, because they were there for Christmas 1943, and there was great excitement, of course, when we heard that the troops were to come here to Portglenone, and there was a few people a bit worried about it as well, because some of the mothers had great fears that they might be coloured soldiers, and consequently they probably believed a lot of the stories they heard concerning young girls. But when the men arrived at that time in the camp, we found them to be very nice, very friendly, and very helpful, and they were very jolly glad to be with us. They had been out, as far as I can tell, they had been in Italy fighting there prior to coming to Ireland, and one of the chaps that we met had discovered while he was in Italy that his grandfather, he was Italian American, his grandfather actually was in the Italian army fighting alongside the Germans in Italy. And as I say, they came back obviously to get a bit of a rest and prepare for the next battle, wherever that might be. We met two of the chaps purely by accident on the first night in the village, when one of them came into the village, and I got talking to him, and his name was Staff Sergeant Everett M. Crozier, known as Bud to his friends. I brought him in to see my father, who was an ex-soldier from the First World War, and they got talking, and eventually it finished up by us inviting Bud Crozier to come and visit again. When he did, he came with a friend, Corporal Tony Augustine, who was the Italian-American chap. Bud was Anglo-Irish. He had relatives somewhere in Ireland here, he didn't know where. He was 26 years old, and he was married with two of a family, a boy and a girl. During the time they were there, they were very kind to us, and they used to come and visit us very often when they were free. And they would come in at night during the winter weather with their big great coats on, and the great coats had pockets that started here and went down almost to the hem, and they were laden with candy, as they talked about, which was sweets to us, and chocolate, and foodstuffs, tinned fruit and tinned meat and that sort of thing. And they would come and they would spend probably the first 10 minutes in our house getting all this stuff out of their pockets, and then would sit down, and my mother would make them a meal. It was a long time. It was a long time from they had fresh eggs. They actually brought us powdered eggs, and my mother used to make a good effort to keep a couple of fresh eggs so that she could give them a true Ulster fry when they came to visit, which they did quite often. They were there for some time, and we had a piano in our house, and one of our neighbours, a young girl, was a great pianist. Tony Augustine happened to have his piano accordion, and he would bring that to the house at night, and of course when the piano accordion got going, and the house was generally full of young girls who were obviously very interested in the American soldiers, and there was plenty of them about. We used to have some great parties, and this went on for some time, of course, and everybody had enjoyed themselves very well. We had dances in the local dance hall for them, and a lot of them got friendly with the other people in the village as well, but I was mainly concerned with the ones that were friendly with us, naturally enough. But like everything else, all good things must come to an end. And one morning, it was obviously, I would say probably I'm not quite sure, but probably around the month of March or April, we had been expecting Tony and Bud to visit one night, and they didn't turn up. And on reflection, that particular day, we didn't see any of the other soldiers about the village, and obviously we were wondering why there wasn't any sign of them. And the following day, one of the chaps from the countryside who lived near the camp actually drove into the village, or rode into the village, and announced to everybody that was there that the American soldiers had gone. That was it. The camp was locked and there wasn't a sound. It was very, very sad. I now know why they didn't have a chance to say goodbye, because I've been in the army myself, you know, so it was very, very sad. A very sad occasion. Obviously they had, you know, now when I look back I can figure out why they were away. They were obviously going away to prepare for D-Day. Because it wasn't long after, well, sometime in the summertime, Bud had written during his stay in Portglenone, he had written to his wife to say that he met us. So my mother started corresponding with his wife. And one day we got a great shock when we received a letter from his wife to say that Bud had been killed in action on the 16th of June 1944. Tony obviously survived, or well, we assumed he had survived because we didn't know anything about him other than his name. And when I was about, I suppose, 15 or 16, that was 10 to 11 years after this all happened, longer than that actually, we got a letter from America. Now I thought it was from my sister who had immigrated to America, but when we opened the letter we found it was from Tony. And we were delighted about this, and my mother, she sat down immediately and replied to his letter, and we never heard another word. That was it. Just a one-off. We never heard any more about him. It was a lovely time while it lasted, and very sad when it finished.